Oh, something different.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile. After 2 years, or 2 years later. 2 years later, regarding what? Now, Joseph, you will remember, was sold into slavery by his brothers at age 17. 11 years later, at age 28, whilst in prison on a false charge, he saw the baker and the butler looking down, and he asked what was wrong. They told him that they each had a dream the night before, and the dream was troubling them and they couldn't interpret it. The Lord used him and he interpreted the dream. The baker was told that he was going to die, he was going to be killed. The butler was told that he was going to get a reprieve, he was going to get back his position serving Pharaoh. And of course, having been through all of what he had been through, sold out because of the jealousy and envy of his brothers, and was bought into slavery, and he worked hard as Potiphar's steward and was lied upon by Potiphar's wife and ended up in prison. Now, so many years later, he thought, let me just ask for some help. So he says to the butler, remember me when you come out. Please remember me. A fair request and a fair expectation, don't you think? Oh yes. But what happened? When the butler got replaced or got brought back into his position, he forgot. I guess he was so excited to be back in his place and serving Pharaoh, he never remembered Joseph. Can you imagine Joseph's disappointment when day after day, week after week passed and there was no word about him? Now the Bible tells us it was 2 full years later that Pharaoh had a dream. And Pharaoh woke up troubled because he couldn't understand his dream. And he called for all his wise men. And nobody could interpret the dream. But at that time, the butler remembered Joseph. And of course, he told Pharaoh about Joseph. And Joseph was brought out of prison to interpret the dream. And we know the rest of the story. But what is significant about this? If it was a case that the butler had remembered Joseph at the time he came out, the most that would have happened for Joseph is that he would have gotten his freedom from prison. Well, probably, who knows? He may have been given his freedom totally, so he would no longer be a slave. But what would he have to live off? What skill would he have had to use? What connections would he have had? How would that take him to where God wanted him? You see, sometimes we get so distressed because God doesn't move according to our timing. But he knows what's best. And every disappointment is an appointment with God. Because all things are working together for our good. For the purpose he has in us. The Lord ensured that the butler did not remember Joseph. so that Joseph wouldn't simply come out and be lost in the system. For there was a plan to get him in the palace. And so the Lord ensured that he was not remembered until he was needed. Sometimes we want things to happen now, but now might not be the right time. Sometimes God needs to disappoint us until we are needed, until the world is ready for us, until the situation and the circumstances are properly organized to prepare for us the table, to prepare for us the seat. So trust God's timing, because his timing is perfect. He may seem to be taking long, but he knows what's best for us. And so it was. Some 13 years after being sold into slavery, Joseph finally saw glimpses of the fulfillment of his dreams. And guess what? The glimpse wasn't for long. Because everything was ready, a quick work was done. In a matter of days, he was viceroy. He was prime minister. Yes. Trust God's timing. It will work well. Let's share this. Share it. Like it. And comment. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the testimonies you have about God's timing in your life. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. God bless you.
Oh.